Some laboratories use 10 millimora. And when you are using 3 microliters, sometimes 4 microliters. And in commercial kits, they are using 20 microliters protein SK, at least 20 microliters. That's why time is really reduced down. Now protein SK, these are the units. This is enzyme, so it is in units. So how many molecules one unit can lyse, that depends. There is a ratio. If I am taking lot of tissue and putting same amount of protein SK, it will be sufficient? Never. So it will work with that much protein molecules and then it waste. It will not have more activity than that. So I should have an assumption that how many molecules of or how many units of protein SK I am adding and how much protein molecules are there in my tissue. So if you could able to get a rough idea of this, very nice DNA you can do isolation. So in DNA commercial kits, they specifically mention how much tissue should be taken, and they give more emphasis on this part. In any kit you look, just go on protocol reading, you will find much emphasis is given on how much tissue should be there. Even though they are having like extra freedom, they have given, everyone don't work according to that, they know it. But in laboratory also, when we are working now, we should be judicious. Student always feel happy when they see lot of pellet of DNA. Why you require lot of DNA? Because your all processes require very little things. So don't be get tempted to put more tissue and then more DNA. Not necessary. Your 20 or 100 nanogram DNA is enough. 100 nanogram, even if you are having like 50 microliters, is enough for doing whole genome sequencing many times. That is too much I am talking you. Like 100 nanograms can have 100 times you can run to 40x. Even sometime 100x also can be possible. Very little is required. You require DNA in picograms, not in nanograms. But okay, because your dilution and all that may not sufficient, that's why. Why PCR machine you are using? When you need more DNA, don't use PCR then. PCR is most sensitive device. Not require this much things. Once you are putting a DNA in PCR machine and going for reaction, it is having amplification, it is having multiplication few million times. So no need to take much DNA in your PCR reaction. There also we get lot of problems. Then depending upon the sample, we should decide the protocol. If I am having very old samples, I should have different protocol. Like forensic cases, I should not play with my laboratory stuff. Because forensics are important samples and you need to deliver results and all that. In that case, don't use your housemate. You can use a commercial kit. Their money is not important, their work is more important. So depending on, you need to decide the protocols. Like CTAB we are using with little bit modification we did in case of the CTAB. And we are using perfectly the CTAB protocol for plant tissues, insect tissues, then fish, fungi, mollusks, and bacteria also we are using nicely. So principle of using one protocol for other, just imagine what type of cells it is having. Not necessarily this is mentioned only for micelle. I should not use for anything else. Micelle, what it does is having a lot of cells, or having a tissue which is containing lot of cells. So if it can lyse or it can give DNA from a mouse tail, it can give DNA from any animal tissue. So a lot of confusion happen with the students in this. And next step is DNA quantification. Since calibration of DNA, tissue is very difficult because little tissue, many laboratories don't have like 0.1 mg sensitivity balances. So in that case, we can't make a perfect here. So every time we will have different volume of tissue. So roughly, for DNA quantification, for that purpose, it is very important. So whatever DNA you will get, so quantification you will give 2-3 ideas from that. So usually I already told you that these nano drops are very nice, so it will not waste your DNA as well as give you accuracy, and very easily you can do that. Then 260, 280, 1.8 is enough. 1.7 usually we follow. 1.7 several cases what happen, because depending on what you are doing and what water standard you are using. So 1.8, around 1.8 is good. 1.7 and 1.8 people are usually using. So if it is more than 1.8, So you can treat it perfectly with the RNase. And this RNase enzyme incubate for 53 degree, just 7-8 minutes is enough. So it will immediately reduce the RNase content in that. If it is less than 1.8, so this is very tricky. Like 1.8 means you are having lot of proteins, and these proteins, very difficult to get rid of these proteins. Sometimes you can take your whole DNA, put proteinase K in that, reprecipitate, follow the same procedures and reprecipitate. But in that case, you are having always danger to lose everything. So it is always advised, if your reading is much less than 1.8 or 1.7, so just don't use that DNA, because it is going to give you problem in your PCR amplification, definitely. Then DNA, it can be stored -10 degree, but again re-thawing and all that, if you instantly want to use that DNA, get diluted, what concentration you require. Most of the laboratories, they use 20 nanograms, some laboratories 50 nanogram, we use 80 to 100 nanogram. Take a standard from, take a subsample or adequate from your original preparation and make a final concentration of 100 nanogram or 80 nanogram, depending on what sensitivity your laboratory usually following. So depending on that, take it and use for your further experimentations, so that your original stock will be retained and this remaining stock can be used for several reactions. Very much care should be taken in putting this. If you are using regular basis, so just put into 4 degrees centigrade. No need to rethaw and freeze it. For weeks together you can use it. Weeks together means 1 or 2 weeks you can use this. But if you want to store more than that, and specifically it is a summer day, so don't put at 4 degree. At least put at -4 degree. So that can last for a long time. And even -4 degree will not give much difficulty. Typically, DNA quality assessment can happen with 4 options only. These are the very common 4 problems you will get in DNA. So you can see here this image. This bluish line is showing this DNA is perfect. You can do any downstream application if you are having such type of things when you are getting a blue line. This is a blue I just highlighted. So if you are having such type of images, no need to fear for anything. Your DNA, your preparation, you are perfect. Everything is perfect in your preparation here. And if you are having this like this color, like this type of findings, so here your sampling is really not good. Your tissue preparation was not good. So here you spoiled everything. Your tissue is disintegrated to very bad level. This is of no use for any downstream application. Just plan your second sampling trip and go to field. There is no option for this. Then you are having such type of things you can have like this or this. So this is typically associated with DNA isolation protocol. But suggestion I was giving you, DNA isolation protocol. Like when you are isolating DNA, students, they are always very much careful. The pellet should not wash off, and for that purpose they don't want to wash them with the alcohol grades. They will do once or twice and then they will say, okay, now I will keep it. It should not get off. So whenever you are washing in the last stage, when you are washing with the alcohol, you are trying to take all salts associated with that, because all these salts you use for lysing the cells. So this salt you want to clean them. If salt retained there, definitely this will hamper your PCR. So such type of smearing DNA, the smearing will definitely give problems. This type of smearing. So this smearing is typical smearing of salt present in your DNA. So here we are having chances. You can take this DNA and give more alcohol wash, alcohol precipitation, resuspend it, put alcohol, shake it very nicely, vigorously, centrifuge, throw alcohol, again do the same procedure. And in this stage, we need typical RPM. Your machine force, centrifuge machine should have typical, because your pellet is so tiny. When you are centrifuging it, centrifugal force should be in that quantum. The pellet should attach very tightly to the bottom of the tube. if you are spinning it at less RPM, less than 10,000 or 8,000, pellet will never get attached with the bottom of the glue. And then when you are washing, you are definitely throwing away the pellet also. Your tube will just tube. So for that purpose, when you are having this salt, you want to take care. So during washing stage, be careful, very patient. Sometimes students become contractors in DNA isolation. Like they will take a lot of samples at a time and then do these steps. So what happens in that, one time more than 24 samples never advised for DNA isolation. Even 24 samples experienced students can do. But if newcomers don't allow them 20 samples. 8 samples is enough. Because you need lot of concentration, it is a heavy labor work. And then ultimately you will just observe where you are having failure. So like after 15, 16 samples you will get failures. Up to 8, 10 you are perfect. Then after 8, 10, 12, then later on your concentration go down. And fineness will be no there, and finally you will not have good DNA, and you will get such type of problems. Then another case is like this one. This is also similar smell. So these are the cases you will get here. So this is one, no DNA. So in case you don't see anything in your gel, so that means either you don't have a properly lysing, you haven't did to your sample, or otherwise your sample is so tough it requires more quantity of protein scale. If you are not having anything, or this case may happen like 3 possibilities you are having here. One possibility, you don't have proper tissue or don't have proper protocol, or third, your pellet might have washed during washing. So such type of typical 3-4 problems will be appeared in your DNA quality. So if you follow these steps, and if you could able to get such type of DNA, wonderful thing. Means no need to think, and you can send this DNA for any downstream application, either you do or. Now we will discuss one by one the cases what we can have in DNA isolation. So if you don't have DNA, either tissue is highly degraded, large quantity of tissue in isolation, so that your protein scale is completely insufficient and not lysed to anything. Then no proper homogenization also, many times no homogenization. Every lab is having typical protocol for DNA isolation. Everyone is different in DNA isolation protocol. So proper homogenization, like you need to give opportunity for reacting your protein scale with every cell. For that you need to make a broth of cells. So for that purpose, either you cut down to small pieces or grind it perfectly. If you are having a small probe sonicator, wonderful. Sonicator will disrupt your cells and make them separate. So it will give lot of opportunity for protein SK to act with each and every molecule of protein, and DNA will be nice. Then usually pellet wash or pellet loss happen during also alcohol precipitation. This is very commonly happening, and no proper protocol also. Like you selected something different and your tissue is different. If you are having trailing, like I was showing this type of things, like this trailing. So in this case, improper alcohol precipitation. Summer days, be careful about your alcohol grades. If you are using 70% and in summer you are using it, and if you keep your bottle open, or during your pipetting also, lot of alcohol go off, because temperature in your lab also, temperature may be like 30-32 degrees. So that time evaporation very vibrant, and alcohol grade will go down. So trailing can typically associated with that. So season wise also you need to play, and don't work nearby a window with alcohol grades. Then no proper protocol also. Salt concentration is also one of the reason in trailing. Like some of the chemicals when you prepare, like EDTA, whatever you are using, or maybe like you are using your SDS. So there also you can have little bit change, your balance is not proper. So your buffer preparation is not proper. Adjusting pH, how much you are adding, that is also important. Like your pH is towards acidic, so a lot of NaOH sometimes people put. Sometimes what happen, he himself add more S2 SCl, and then again normalize using KOH. So NaOH. And unnecessary, all chemicals will remain inside the buffer, and that will create problem in your next steps. Then another like basic recipe for polymerase chain reaction is, every lab is having same thing, but when typically you are doing DNA barcode, don't use big reactions, we require very little. Whatever PCR you will have, from that PCR we just take 0.5 microliter for sequencing. So when you require 50 microliter reaction, unnecessary you are putting, like in my laboratory we are following 12.5. I think this been again bring down 8.9, 7.5, again we keep down to 7.5, because in one reaction we can, like if you are using 50 and you are using 12 microliters, that means almost 5 reactions you are unnecessarily wasting. No need to, we don't want to take a bath using your PCR product. So for that purpose, small reaction will be enough. So these are usually typical reactions. Trihalose is a like a cryoprotectant, and it is a PCR enhancer. But be careful about trihalose. In some reactions, it acts as a PCR blocker, or it hampers the PCR reaction. Some cases, like typically in certain insect group, if you put trihalose, reaction never, your PCR will never successful. So by experience, you need to take care of this. Then always use this nucleus-free water. Then buffers, these are ready-made buffers. You need not prepare this. MgCl2 also you can you get directly from the company. When your lab you become sufficiently experienced, you can buy these chemicals in bulk and prepare your own. That is also pretty possible. But their care must be taken, because PCR is most sensitive reaction. Then your DNA template. Here also, like people many times they don't sense like what type of how much is required. 1 microliter, lot of time your plasticware is not good, so they are having electrostatic force, and that electrostatic force will not allow to fall down 1 microliter. So that's why individual reaction always never gets successful. So use reactions at least multiplication of 5 or 8, 10 reactions, so that you can take a 10 microliter. In case of individual, one DNA you want to quantify, but in cases when you are doing a single multiple DNA samples, so use very sensitive and good sensitive pipette and good quality plasticwares. Usually in my laboratory we are using a Gen Axi, all tips and plasticwares. Good quality is here. Don't consider to save the money on plasticware, because that is not saving. Here you are wasting if you are using an inferior quality. Then set of primers, lot of primer sets are available on Bold website for If you are getting reactions like this, that means your laboratory is wonderful, and you can do any challenging work in your laboratory. So this type of reaction we love to see. When our students are doing something. So if you are getting this reaction, means you are very perfect in your isolation, your plasticware is perfect, your sample processing is perfect, protocol is perfect, and your DNA, your pipetting, everything is nice. But it never happens. Typically you can see such images on the kit only. This is truly speaking, this is from my laboratory. But we are having very different 5-6 type of cases in PCR. And PCR, when you are failing in PCR, no even God can't help you. You need to be your own master in PCR reactions, because many time labs get stuck up with the some reactions, and then student shout on his colleagues, sometimes blame his supervisor shouts everyone, and finally funding agency shout on supervisor because he haven't delivered anything. Many laboratories, they are tempted to get funding from the agencies funding, and then they lose the track with the laboratory works. And sometimes happen like 3 years project, for first 2 years he haven't did anything, and then he starts visiting this lab, that lab, wasting a lot of government money. You are not wasting a government money, but you are using a poor taxpayers' money. So when you are writing a project, don't tempt it to get big fundings, but try to assess yourself what you can deliver, and how much work you can do in a quantum. bringing fund is not big task. You can manage it in any source, but delivering work, no one can do it. It requires your expertise, it requires your sincerity, and faith to your countrymen. That really it is important, because biotechnology, we are talking about biotechnology. Our government, in spite of not having capacity to pay this, government is paying huge amount. And how much we deliver? Tell me one single construct we do have at our name. Like BT cotton, that construct been developed by Monsanto, and whatever BT seed here farmers are purchasing, 17 paisa per seed we are paying to US. So what is use of having 250 CSIR laboratories, over 5,000 universities, and many colleges, 25,000 colleges in the country? What is use of this big force there? That means we are cheating our own, we are cheating our own country. And poor farmers, even a guy who is selling vegetable on his head, he is also paying tax, and that money is coming to you and you are wasting it. So be judicious and don't get tempted to get big fundings and don't deliver anything. And then pay this money to some lab and go for outsourcing. Then what is use of you? Then government may give money to one company and he will exploit the works. But while doing this, we are making a manpower. Like our students are the biggest, pillars of the country. We are feeling them to be the, future of the country. So we want to make good manpower in our laboratory. It is not only for sake of your fun you are bringing a project. In this money we want to train a manpower, very highly skilled, so that he should be asset in coming days and do something better than you did. This is an expectation for giving a funding. So for that purpose, in laboratory, train your students in perfect way, so that these things should not happen. And I feel this is a good platform. Dr. Ina has provided me to share a few things, and I am talking everything based on my laboratory experiments. Initially, like students, when they start 1-2 year, they never bother. But after 2-3rd year, they start talking about you, because our laboratory is not having any production. Likewise, they start going, and then frustration, no publications, and then everything happens in very bad way. It gives trouble to even funding agencies also in that stage. So, in case number 1, problem associated with the thermocycling for PCR. So you will get no band or low yield bands, like you see here, such type. In one PCR reaction, you are getting such type of variety of things, a lot of creation. So this creation whenever you are having in your gels, it is a frustrating situation. But in these cases, these could be the possibilities, and you can tackle it like this, like low yield or no band. Here you can have low template quality or quantity. Means whatever DNA isolation you did now, your quality is not good. And in this case, sometimes quantity also is not sufficient. DNA is very poor. Then in this case, increase one chance you are having, because quality you can't improve, but at least you can improve the quantity. So use more template. Try to do it. Then you can do a thermal cycling condition is not proper. Second option is. But usually when you are having such type of things, one time good, another is also good, but others are low yield. So usually this is less chance. But even though you can decrease the annealing temperature, some template may have more temperature. In that case, you can usually decrease the annealing temperature. Extension temperature range should be between 68 to 72. And typically talking about DNA barcoding. Okay, it is not applicable for any other applications. If you are going for any another reason, this may not be applicable. Principle may be the same. Then if you are having faulty primers or degraded, like several times I use primers and not using them, not doing the experiment. So in this case, like design new primers, a good polish. Or otherwise, check your primer whether it is perfect or not. Checking primers is really not advisable, because you need to prepare a page. And a lot of people, they don't want to do that, because it is so laborious, chemicals and all that. Instead of that, you can just order a new primer. Don't try to make a page and then check whether primer is good or not, because same cost you are incurring on checking on the page. Then another case is like no specific amplification. You are not doing RAPD, you are doing a DNA barcode, like you want just COI. And if you are getting like this RAPD like pattern, several bands, means your primer is specifically not sitting at one place, but it is enjoying, everywhere it is sitting down. So in this case you will get such type of bands. Nice RFID. So in this case troubleshoot could be the low annealing temperature you are having. If there is a low annealing temperature, your primer non-specifically bind always. In this case, I will recommend, like most of the protocols associated with your PCR machine, it include one touchdown, TD protocol. Touchdown is a wonderful protocol. Just go with touchdown. So touchdown will have a very high and then it will reduce from that. So first it will give opportunity your primers to sit on a specific site at very high temperature, and then it will go down. So once it will sit on the specific, other regions will be eliminated. So no chance to get when temperature will be low. So accurately fitting your primers to an accurate site is a touchdown. And read about touchdown PCR. Lot of times students get their PhD in biotechnology, but they don't know simple things like what is mean by nested PCR, what is mean by touchdown PCR, what is mean by specificity. So for that, keep one book, PCR, I think PCR technology. One book is there, I think it is wrote by Primer, name of the author. So that book is wonderful for PCR troubleshooting. And in troubleshooting also one should be careful. Again, students get a mess in troubleshoot. Troubleshoot, no, don't take too many properties at a time. Like one side you are increasing the temperature, another side you are using the template concentration. Don't do, one variable should be tested at one time. Too much variable will never give you accuracy. So make one variable, test your PCR. Otherwise in one reaction also you can do one variable in one reaction, another one variable in that way. So you can save a lot of time. That is one possible. Nowadays some new PCR has been appeared in the market. So every well you can even maintain the temperature. Every well. Or in some cases it is a Peltier of 8 or sometimes 12. You can maintain your gradient PCR. So rather than gradient PCR, newly launched one thermo launched new PCR where you can have even one well you can maintain the temperature. So troubleshoot such machine could be wonderful, but I think these are not, most of the laboratories don't have that machine. Then increasing annealing temperature can solve this problem. Sometimes MgCO2 is the biggest player in your reaction hampering. So MgCO2 concentration, if it is not proper, also you will get RAPD like pattern. Here you can standardize MgCO2 concentration. That means you need to decrease. Standardization means you don't have anything to play with that. You can decrease only, or sometimes you can increase. But when you are getting multiple bands, you need to decrease the MgCO2 concentration. Here again faulty primers can do. If your primer is like degraded or it is broken in between, so what will happen? Small segment of that primer can sit anywhere and give a RAPD like scenario. So these are 2-3 options you can do in this case. Then in sometimes you are getting typical high molecular non-specific products. Like your well is also glowing and your PCR product is also at proper site. So this is typically happening in many laboratories. And in this case, high molecular weight, usually high concentration of DNA template. Either your calculation is not good or your spectrophotometer is not good. So lot of DNA you poured in your PCR reaction. So check the concentration on a proper machine and make a good dilutions. Then your DNA concentration should be typically in this range. If it is not working, then denaturing temperature or the time is not proper. The first step of your PCR reaction. So there you can do one thing like increase the time and temperature. Sometimes like 94 degree, up to 94 degree we are using. In some cases 95, reduce the time. So that will give proper denaturation and allow primers to sit on every strand of DNA, and it will then disintegrate everything which is appearing on the wells in the gel. Then increase denaturation temperature also. That can help you like 94, 90. Usually laboratories are putting 92 to 94. Sometimes you can use up to 95 degree centigrade. This will either give you troubleshoot perfectly, otherwise it will not work at all. So that can be done. Usually in these cases what happens, if you are using low primer and high template, so primer will be not sufficient.